So what we're doing today is just going to run down the week-to-week issues classes that are coming up, and we pretty much have things scheduled until the summer. And we got some really interesting speakers. So just letting you know what's coming up. You're going to be privy to the full schedule of what's going on. And so today we're doing this. Next week is the title is Discovering the Ancient Roots of Christian Interconnectedness by Jesse Higg. And Andrew, I'll let you go ahead and tell us a little bit about that, about Jesse and his presentation, what you know of it. Go ahead.
Yeah, thanks. Jesse is a friend of mine and a really bright and well-read guy. He works at Classical Academic Press, which puts out a lot of homeschool curriculum in the classical method. So anybody who's familiar with homeschools likely heard of Classical Academic Press. I love following Jesse on social media. He's always reading something very interesting. And I think what he's going to share with us next week brings together a lot of his interests in theology and in literature. So if you're familiar with Wendell Berry and sort of that connectedness with the earth and kind of a return to, kind of a simpler life, I think that's a big theme that he's going to be sharing, as well as going back in church history to, the first 300 years before, the church became a state religion. There were many wonderful spiritual leaders that are getting a bit of a resurgence nowadays in certain theological circles. So you may not have heard of Origen or Gregory of Nyssa, but they have wonderful spiritual insights, and Jesse's going to help connect thoughts from those thinkers through, obviously, Augustine, Calvin, C.S. Lewis, and others to the present day to help us think about our own spiritual lives, our connectedness with God, with each other, and with this earth. So that's what he's going to get at. It's going to be much more, I think, eloquent than what I've stated here today, but I'm really looking forward to his talk.
Yeah, the other interesting thing when looking up his information, the other interesting thing is where he got his master's. He has a Master of Lit and History from the University of St. Andrews in Scotland. I thought that's pretty interesting too. And to read a little bit of his bio reads very academic, like I can't pronounce half the names he puts in there. So that was a good presentation there, Andrew, of what I interpret that he's going to do. Very nice, and thank you for getting him as a speaker. And
Yeah, absolutely.
good friend to have.
Yeah.
Very good. Okay, thank you very much. Then February 28th was supposed to be Bob's other presentation, and that's going to be up in the air probably for at least another week until we know what's happening here. So we're going to move on to March. The whole month of March is March 7th, 14th, 21st, and 28th, and we'll have our friend Dr. Lee Barrett from Lancaster Theological Seminary back for that. And he's going to have his class is going to be on Christian reconciliation. And I'm going to read you a definition of Christian reconciliation. And this is not something that Lee gave me, but I just thought, what specifically might it be? And it says involves a change in relationship between God and man or man and man. It assumes there has been a breakdown in relationship, but now there has been a change from a state of enmity and fragmentation to one of harmony and fellowship. Romans 5, 6 through 11, Paul says that before reconciliation, we were powerless, ungodly, sinners, and enemies. We were under God's wrath. Because of change or reconciliation, we become new creatures. Therefore, if anyone is in Christ, He is a new creation. The old has gone, the new has come. So that sounds like, again, Lee didn't give that to me, but that sounds like what his, an explanation of his topic. And a little bit about Lee is, I believe we've had him now for 21 years, every year for 21 years. And Lee figured that out and told me that last week. And Lee has a BA, a Master Divinity, a Master's, and a PhD, all from Yale University in religious studies. And his PhD came in 1984. And he's taught at Lancaster Theological Seminary since September of 1993. He also taught at the Presbyterian School of Christian Education in Richmond, Virginia before that. And he's a big guy on Kierkegaard, which I saw in something that Jesse Hake sent to us, that he has Kierkegaard as part of the explanation of his class. And Lee has 4 books out. I think we might have 1 or 2 in our library, but I'm not sure about that. And he also has written 9 articles, 5 of which are on Kierkegaard, who is a Danish philosopher and theologian from 1813 to 1855. So everybody loves Lee. When we're in for regular class, we open up the 7A, 7B curtain and fill the whole thing up. So that'll be nice to have him back. April 4th is Easter, and then that brings us to Tim. Tim, you're still there. That brings us to 2 speakers Tim has been able to obtain for us. And go ahead, Tim.
Thanks, Jack. I'm just going to share my screen here. Hopefully you can see that. Yeah, I want you to mark your calendars for April 11th, April 8th. We've got 2, I think, very interesting presentations then. I'm excited to say on April 11th, we have a special presentation by Donald Nally, exploring the future of choral music. And Don is the John W. Beatty Chair in Music and Director of Choral Organizations at Northwestern University. But he's probably best known as the music director, conductor, and founder of the choral ensemble, The Crossing. Don's collaborated with numerous national and international orchestras and artistic companies, including the Los Angeles Philharmonic, the New York Philharmonic, the Philadelphia Museum of Art, the Metropolitan Museum of Art, as well as others. He's held distinguished tenures as chorus master for the Lyric Opera of Chicago, the Welsh National Opera, the Opera Philadelphia, the Chicago Bach Project, and for many seasons at the Spoleto Festival in Italy. Don's commissioned over 125 different works, and with The Crossing has produced over 20 recordings, receiving 6 Grammy nominations. So, a really unique opportunity to get somebody of international fame kind of presenting at our issues class. Just to give you a little background on The Crossing, and I'll just play a little music you'll hear in the background here from one of the recordings. The Crossing has been called America's most astonishing choir by the New York Times Classical Music critics and their albums and concerts are always marked by a high level of creativity, innovation, and cultural awareness. And personally, as a lover of classical music, I am always impressed and challenged by just a remarkable ensemble. Rising with The Crossing is the most recent album, and it's a collection of live daily postings that The Crossing has put out on the COVID epidemic. You're listening to one of the highlights of this album, Eric Ensemble's Earth Teach Me Quiet. The New York Times named this one of the top 25 classical music tracks of 2020. Described it as a dreamingly unfolding appeal to the earth. The text to the piece is a prayer from the 50 worlds, America Southwest, and it's described as a piece of literature radio inspired by the musician and passion. Hope you'll have a chance to review this album prior to God's presentation.
Tim, the background music is drowning out.
Turn that down a little bit. Can you hear me now? It includes David Lang's eagerly predicted election of 1989 pandemic from last year, and Alex Windows during for those of you interested in learning more of The Crossing, on April 18th, 18th, we also have
Tim, we couldn't hear
really
you.
timely and exciting presentation by Dr. Wallace Green. He's the Director of Diagnostic Virology at Penn State Hershey Medical Center. Wallace was here back in 2017 and he gave a presentation on the risk of a viral pandemic, very appropriate for where we are now. Wallace will be discussing at this upcoming presentation what we've learned from the current COVID-19 pandemic and give us some insights that's come hopefully to get us better prepared for the next pandemic, which we're likely to have in the future. So that's an update on the April 11th and April 18 classes. So Jack, I'll turn it back to you.
Okay, yeah, and take us off of screen share.
Hey, Tim. Tim, this is Debbie. We couldn't hear everything you said about the crossing. Can he hear me?
I can hear you, yeah.
Yeah,
We couldn't hear you. We know
couldn't
you were
hear-
talking, but we couldn't hear you.
Your background music was loud.
You can
Yeah,
hear
you
the,
ma-
okay, I could, oh, that's too bad. Hopefully, I didn't realize it shut off my microphone. Did you hear, I guess you heard the first slide or you heard nothing?
We
Very
heard you
little.
until the music started.
Yeah, the music was a lot louder than you.
Oh, okay. All right, I'll just give you a quick update. Basically, I wanted to let people know that I have a whole bunch of different links and references that record to the crossing. And if people are interested in learning more about the crossing, it'd be great to kind of familiarize yourself with some of their work prior to the April 4th presentation. And I'm happy to share them. And I think it's going to be a real interesting opportunity to hear from somebody who's on the forefront of classical music and where, particularly in the choral music, and be able to give their insights on where this important media is going.
And Tim, they do a lot of connection with social justice issues.
Absolutely, yeah. The album, The Crossing, one of the pieces that's on there that I mentioned was, it's a piece that was written back in 2018 on the flu pandemic of 1919. It's a really interesting piece, very predictive of, was written prior and recorded prior to the COVID pandemic. But listening to that, it's just one example about how they pull current events and things that are relevant to our current history and times into the classical music realm. And that's one of the things that they're really noted for. So that's certainly one of the things that you'll be looking to hear from Don, how he goes about commissioning new works and how he's making choral music really relevant to topical discussions that we're having. So it should be fascinating.
Tim, just one more interjection. This is Debbie again. We may be the only church in the world who's going to have an opportunity like this. And can you tell us how we got such an opportunity?
Yeah, Don and I were in youth fellowship together growing up. So I've joked with him that I'm going to put him on as my first collaborator that I've ever worked with. That often that I have a Grammy award-winning conductor that I could say I collaborated with. But yeah, we did our senior musical. We were like co-directors for it. So no, Don's been always one of the most creative people I've known, and it's just been a real joy to watch his career develop and the recognition that he's gotten for what he's done to choral music, and it's just been really exciting. So it is a really unique opportunity there. He's waking up an hour early to come. He lives out in Chicago, so I said I'll pay him back at some point. But yeah, they do a lot of work around the Philadelphia area. That's where the crossing is based out of. So hopefully, keep my fingers crossed. I'd love to have him actually come and perform here at some point in the future when we have, can get back in person meetings again.
Yeah, folks that are listening, if you know anybody who enjoys music or has any kind of choral itch at all, please invite them to come.
Is he the modern Fred Waring, who was quite the guy in his day?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not familiar with that.
You just dated yourself, Bill.
You got to be old. Fred Waring had the Pennsylvanians. It was a big choral group when I was a kid. So, and and I don't know when he passed on, but he was very famous for a long time.
I think the thing that I really find interesting here is the work they've done commissioning new work. So they've really brought out a lot of new composers, people like Gavin Breyer and Mason Bates, and people that are really at the cutting edge of current classical music have written commissions for the Crossing, and every album that they bring out is just very interesting. So I think we'll find it interesting and challenging. If you like modern music, you'll I think, find something here of a great appeal.
Very nice, very nice. Hey, Tim, I'm stuck on screen share. Is everybody else still on screen share? In other words, you have to bring this back, Tim?
Yeah, I thought I stopped screen sharing. Did it not?
I don't know. I just have crystal clear audio, even if it looks like something different. I could try backing out of it, maybe. I'm not sure what that'll do. But does everybody else see everybody?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's just me then. I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to tell you about next the following week, and then let Debbie take over, and I'll probably go out and come back in the meantime. So Tim, thank you very much. I mean, two great speakers, and that's going to be really exciting. Very nice. Following on April 25th is Heritage Sunday. The Heritage Committee will put on something on Heritage Sunday. They were taken out by COVID last year at Heritage Sunday, so they couldn't put on their presentation. I don't know if that's going to carry, that same presentation will carry on. What last year is going to be was 2 years ago. The year before that, they did the early Derry ministers, and I don't know if they're going to follow up with the latter Derry ministers this time around or not. But anyway, the Heritage Committee will have April 25th. And then that brings us to May, which is where I put Debbie on. Debbie has obtained John Fia again, who we have had in the past. And I'm going to try to manipulate my screen. I might go out and come back in. So Debbie, go ahead and take it from here. And if I'm host, I'm not sure if that'll mess things up or not. Oh, this could be fun, folks.
No, we can see you.
Well, yeah, I'll tell you what. I guess I don't need to really see everybody. I can just stay where I'm at then.
Can you see you?
I don't see anything other than this advertisement for crystal clear audio.
Oh.
And put on by Zoom. I don't know why that is.
Oh.
So I'll just keep it where it's at because I'll be fine. Go ahead, Debbie.
Thanks, Jack.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we're fortunate. The whole month of May 2nd through the 23rd, we have 4 weeks with John Fia. John's been at Derry before. I know before I retired, we had him 2 or 3 times. I don't know if you had him since I retired. John is a history professor at Messiah College, and he's written several books. When we first got him a few years ago, I could call John directly and ask him if he would come. Now he's gotten known enough that you can't get to John directly. So I go through Christine to get John. I suspect had it not been for a pandemic, we might not have gotten to John at all. That's how well known he's become throughout the nation. What we've asked him to do is talk about a subject that you hear a lot in the news about, but we want to make sure we understand it as best we can. And that topic is Christian nationalism. So we've asked John to do that. He would like to do it all 4 weeks. So if you're here for the whole 4 weeks of May, we'll be thoroughly well versed in what is and what isn't Christian nationalism. In an article that I saw, this person who wrote this article, wasn't John, talks about Christian nationalism being the claim that America, excuse me, America should be an overtly Christian not secular nation. And who gets to define what Christian means? That's part of the issue. And was America created to be a Christian nation? John has a book about that with lots of theories. I think a revolutionary period of American history is something he's well versed in. He was excited to come to Derry years ago because as a historian, he knew of Derry and its role in national history. So he was thrilled to be here. I'm thrilled that we'll be able to get him again. If you want to know more about John and his thoughts, I cautiously say to you, sign up for his blog, which is called The Way of Improvement is Home. If you have signed up for it, then you'll know what I mean when I say cautiously. He will blog to you probably 6, 7, maybe more times a day. Not a week, but a day. If you have the capability of reading everything he sends out, and he will send out links to books, to authors, to social media, to media in general that have to deal with American history and things that are currently happening right now. It's a phenomenal way to learn a lot about history. And that's The Way of Improvement is Home. And you can get to that from the Messiah College faculty page if you find John, or just blog or Google John Fea. It's Fea, and you can learn a lot about him. We're very excited that he's going to be with us again. He'll be with us by Zoom, no matter what is the case with how the pandemic is going. So it will be Zooming 4 weeks with John Fea in May. That's me, Jack.
Okay, and I also should mention next week with Jesse Haig, that platform is going to be on Boxcast, which will not be Zoom. So you can tune into that on YouTube, Facebook, or go to the church website when you sign up. You'll be listening to him live, giving his presentation, but it won't be a Zoom call. You won't see everybody like usual. You'll just be seeing him. So I just want to let you know that that's a little bit of a difference. And right now I can't see anybody for whatever reason. So thank you. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. Question.
Yeah.
Who's next week?
Next week is Jesse Haig, that Andrew had talked about close to the top.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Who was the person you were just mentioning?
John Fea.
No, then Jack went to say something else about something. We missed it.
Oh, Jesse Haig.
Yes.
Okay, what did he say about him?
I can't see you guys. Is Andrew still there?
No, just a
Okay.
black.
He's got
Okay,
his.
I have something here on Jesse Haig. Just a second.
Talk about.
Jesse has a master's in literature from the University of St. Andrews in Scotland.
Oh, that's okay. We did hear that.
You remember that? Okay.
Yeah, we do.
Okay. And again, I can't see everybody, but we have a few of us on the Adult Ed Committee, which lines all this up. You have Bill Uffelman, Andrew Barna, Bob Hanna, Debbie, myself, Charlie, and Tim. So we are that committee. If you have any questions or any comments about our classes, this is a good time to say something. Is there anybody with anything to contribute or for suggestions?
Jack, do any of our presenters ask for remuneration?
Meaning, yeah, go ahead.
Well, we offer remuneration.
In other words, are we paying for any of them?
two things. Do they ask, and do we have provided by the church funds to pay them?
We do. We have standard fees that we give them. And if they want more than our standard fee, then we sort of negotiate that and look at the budget. Because it's a line item in the budget to pay for speakers. And as far back as I can remember, we've always made budget. So we do pay attention to that.
That's good. That's good.
Mhm. Anybody else? I wish I could see y'all.
Oh, sorry. I raised my hand. That doesn't help. I'm Miera Kui. I think I just came through the most recent new members class. So I haven't had the chance to meet a lot of you, though I do recognize some faces. But just to say, thank you. I've been able to start attending Sunday school. My husband and I starting in January. We've really appreciated the Sunday schools we've been a part of so far and looking forward to the upcoming ones. I would say two of the Sunday schools that really stood out to me in January were the ones on diversity and inclusion and the one on microaggressions. And I would love to see us do more with the topic of anti-racism. I was excited to hear about white nationalism. I mean, that's getting Christian nationalism, white Christian nationalism is getting close to that topic, very related. But would love to see more or help, in any way with finding speakers or ways to continue that discussion. So I think that was actually one of the reasons my husband and I think were interested in Derry. When we started to see the pastors start to address this from the pulpit and some of the summer reading club, and would love to explore that more with this church community.
Mm-hmm. Very
Mayor,
good.
if you have any ideas or run into any speakers anywhere, please I don't know how she can let one of us know, but let us know somehow.
Yeah, we do get suggestions from the congregation from time to time, so we're open to that.
I mean, two that come to mind are Mark Charles. He is a speaker on the doctrine of discovery. So he talks about that idea that was the church and Christians saying that it was okay to come to new lands and take them over and massacre indigenous peoples. And so he's a Navajo man, I believe, and he's spoken